Hello there everyone, this is Mrs. Williams from Drama Plus. I hope you are feeling absolutely fantastic today. It's brilliant to be back seeing you. Thank you for letting me come into your lounges to tell you some of our favourite stories. Now, I was wondering if any of you had had time over the weekend to create any brilliant pictures of underpants from our last story, Pirates Love Underpants. If you have, do you want to hold them up now? Oh, they're brilliant. I love that one. I love that one with the funny character on it. That's really good. Oh, that's really good as well. That's got some lovely colours. Looks like it might be a bit itchy, but I really do like it. Right, well this is our last story before we go away for a little while for our Easter holidays. But today we're going to read a really, really lovely story because I thought as we won't be here for a couple of weeks, we will read The Smartest Giant in Town. Okay, now this is really good. This is by Julia Donaldson. She's done some amazing books. And Axel Chauffeur, and I think he must have done the illustrations. So, are you all sitting comfortably? And we will begin. Let's see what happens in this story. It's all about a big giant. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly. And he does look a bit scruffy, doesn't he? But it doesn't really matter because he's obviously very kind, and that's the most important thing, isn't it? So I wonder what happens to him next. But one day George noticed a new shop. It was full of really smart clothes. So he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, very smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds up the sides, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. Oh, look how smart he looks. I must just show you that. Doesn't he look amazing? Hardly recognise him. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home. He heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. What's the matter? Asked George. It's my neck. It's very, very long and so very, very cold. I wish I had a long, warm scarf. Can you see him? He has got a very long neck, hasn't he? Oh, but George isn't too sure what to do. Cheer up, said George. And he took off his stripy tie. Didn't match my socks anyway, he said, as he wound it round and round the giraffe's neck. It made a wonderful scarf. Oh, thank you, said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself, my tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. He does like to sing, and he probably has a very loud voice. But you might not always hear him because his head is so far up in the clouds because he's so big. George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. What's the matter? Asked George. It's my sail, said the goat. It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his new white shirt. It kept coming untucked anyway, he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. Do you know, It made a magnificent sail. "Thank you," said the goat. Look at that. George, not looking quite so smart, but he's been so kind, hasn't he? George strode on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came, this is very sad, this bit. George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice, and they were all squeaking. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's our house," squeaked the mother mouse. "It burned down and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house." She's got a lot of children, that mouse, as well. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. "It was giving me blisters anyway," he said, as the mouse and her babies scrambled inside. The shoe made a perfect house for them. "Thank you," they squeaked. George had to hop along the road, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag." He does, he's dropped it, hasn't he? "Oh, cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his socks, the one with diamonds down the sides. "It's tickling my toes anyway," he said, as the fox snuggled into it. "Oh, it made a fine sleeping bag." "Thank you," said the fox. Well, George continued to hop on as he sang, "My scarf tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a very big, squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. "What is the matter?" said George. "Is this bog?" said the dog. "I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a nice, safe, dry path." Now, I would do a howl, but I think if you've got any cats sitting there, it might frighten them, so we won't. Just have to use your imagination. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his smart new belt. "Oh, it was squashed my tummy anyway," he said, as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. "Oh, thank you, woof," said the dog. The wind started to blow, a little bit like outside today, isn't it? But George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. But my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town." I wonder if anybody, when you were designing your pants, designed spotty ones like the giants. Oh my goodness. Suddenly poor George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes, he decided. And he turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. It must be very cold. But when he got there, it was closed. Oh no, cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on his way home. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out the top. George took a closer look. Oh, my gown, my dear old gown and sandals. George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. I'm the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back down the road, feeling so happy. It's not really about what you look like, is it? It doesn't really matter what you're wearing if you're kind. Outside his front door stood all the animals who had helped, and they were carrying an enormous present. Come on, George, they said, open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and card. Look at that. Beautiful gold crown and a beautiful letter. Look inside the card, George. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. And that is a lovely story. Now, over the Easter holidays, I wonder if you would be able to design a beautiful outfit for our lovely giant. And when I come back, I cannot wait to see them all. I hope you have a nice Easter break. I am so pleased that I get to come and read you stories, and it's fantastic to feel a little bit of a part of your day. So take care, everybody. Thank you, Isaac. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.